A pair of hands grip the handle of a worn suitcase tightly. The camera slowly moves upward, showing Zoba's intense face as she steps off the plane into a new world. Her eyes scan the busy terminal, looking alert, as if she's expecting something or someone. I was told, never reveal your secret, not even here, among strangers. But how long can I hide it? The terminal is buzzing with activity. People rush around, their footsteps echoing on the shiny floor. Announcements crackle over the loudspeakers, adding to the noisy chaos. Zoba stands still near the arrivals gate, her suitcase beside her, feeling alone in the crowd. America, the land of opportunity, and the land of secrets. Zoba grips her suitcase tighter, her knuckles turning white. She looks around nervously, taking in the strange sights and sounds. The airport's sleek, modern design feels so different from the simple life she knew back home. She takes a deep breath to calm herself. She suddenly notices someone in dark clothes in the crowd, staring at her. Her heart races. She blinks, but when she looks again, the person is gone, lost in the sea of people. Zoba shakes her head, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling that she's being followed. Stay calm. You're here for a reason. Focus. The Uber driver arrives, pulling Zoba out of her anxious thoughts. She gets into the back seat, still scanning her surroundings. The driver tries to make small talk, but Zoba is distracted, her mind racing. The city outside the window is a blur of new and unfamiliar sights. Tall buildings and bright neon signs flash by, reminding her how far she is from home. Zoba's reflection in the window looks distorted, just like how she feels inside. This isn't just a new place. It's a whole new world, and I'm a stranger in it. The Uber stops in front of the dormitory, and Zoba's nerves increase. She stares at the tall building with a mix of fear and determination. The driver interrupts her thoughts. Here we are. Good luck with everything. Zoba nods, still looking at the building. She steps out, dragging her suitcase behind her. The modern, plain building feels cold compared to the lively energy of the city around it. She takes a deep breath, trying to prepare for what's next. Zoba walks toward the entrance of the dormitory. Her footsteps echo in the quiet lobby. Inside, the building is filled with plain whites and grays, making Zoba feel even more like a stranger. She approaches the reception desk, where a tired-looking clerk gives her a quick glance. Receptionist checking in. Zoba, nervously. Yes, I'm Zoba. I have a reservation. The receptionist processes her details without much interest and hands her a key card. The short interaction does nothing to ease Zoba's tension. She takes the key and heads to the elevator, her suitcase rattling behind her. The hallway is long and narrow, lit by flickering lights. Zoba's footsteps seem loud, bouncing off the walls, making her feel even more alone. She looks at the number on her key card and matches it with the room numbers as she walks, anxious but determined. Just a few more steps. Almost there. She reaches her dorm room door and hesitates, her hand hovering over the handle. A brief feeling of fear washes over her. She pushes the door open. The room is small but has everything she needs. The walls are bare, and the furniture is minimal. It's a sharp contrast to the colorful and busy environment she left behind. Zoba places her suitcase down and starts to unpack. The room is so quiet, broken only by distant noises from the hallway. Zoba takes out a few personal items, carefully placing them around the room to make it feel more like home. She moves slowly, trying to find comfort in these small actions. This is just the beginning. There's a lot to do, and it starts here. As Zoba finishes unpacking, she hears a soft knock on the door. She freezes, her heart racing. The door slowly opens. Zoba, startled, her heart pounding, come in. Jen and Sarah step inside. Their presence is a sharp contrast to Zoba's loneliness. Jen smiles brightly, almost too cheerful, while Sarah looks polite but a little reserved. They're holding bags from a nearby cafe, and the smell of coffee and pastries briefly fills the room. Jen, with a warm smile, hey, Zoba, we thought we'd bring you a welcome snack. How's it going so far? Zoba is caught off guard by their kindness. She stands awkwardly by her suitcase, her eyes moving between the two new roommates and the food they brought. Zoba, trying to be polite. Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you. Jen places the bags on the desk while Sarah quietly looks around the room. Her eyes linger on the few personal items Zoba has unpacked. A silence follows, thick with a slight tension, as if they are all trying to figure each other out. Jen, with a grin, so, have you settled in? It's always a bit overwhelming at first. Zoba, a little unsure. Yeah, just trying to get used to everything. It's all very different. Sarah, smiling softly. You'll get used to it. We all felt the same way when we first got here. Zoba nods, appreciating their effort to make her feel welcome. Jen and Sarah sit on the edge of the bed, their casualness a stark contrast to Zoba's earlier tension. Jen glances around, clearly wanting to keep the conversation going. Jen, by the way, we've been meaning to ask, where are you from? Zoba tenses up slightly, unsure of how much to reveal. She forces a smile. Zoba, I'm from a small village far away. Jen seems intrigued but doesn't push for more details. Jen, oh, that sounds interesting. Must be such a change being here. Inwardly cautious. Careful, don't say too much. Zoba nods politely. Yes, very different. The conversation stalls for a moment, with Jen and Sarah exchanging glances. Jen seems to sense Zoba's hesitation and changes the subject, trying to keep things light. Jen, so, we're having a small get-together tonight. Just a few people from the dorm. You should come. It'll be fun. Zoba hesitates. She's not sure if she's ready to meet more people yet. Zoba, politely, thanks for inviting me, but I think I need some time to settle in first. Sarah nods understandingly. That's okay. If you change your mind, just come by. We're in room 305. Zoba gives a small smile, grateful that they aren't pressuring her. Zoba, thanks. I'll think about it. Jen and Sarah stand up to leave, sensing that Zoba might need some space. Jen, smiling, well, we'll let you get some rest, but don't be a stranger, okay? Zoba nods, watching as they head towards the door. Zoba, thanks again for the snack. Sarah, you're welcome. See you around. They leave the room, and Zoba is left alone again. The quiet returns, but now the room feels a little less empty. She sits on the bed, looking around, her mind still racing with everything that's happened today. I can't let my guard down, not even here. But for now, it's enough to just breathe. The faint sounds of voices and footsteps outside the door remind her that life is moving on around her, even as she feels stuck in her thought. This place so different, so loud. But it's not the noise I fear, it's what could come after. She stands up, walks over to the window, and looks outside. The city lights are starting to glow as the evening settles in. Cars rush by, and people move in every direction. Zoba feels like a small piece of this huge, fast-moving puzzle. Cautious but determined. I've come too far to turn back now. Whatever happens, I have to stay strong. She pulls the curtain closed and turns back to her small, quiet room. There's a knock on the door again, softer this time. Zoba's heart skips a beat. Zoba, startled, calling out, "Who is it?" Voice from the other side. "It's just me, Sarah." Zoba sighs in relief and opens the door. Sarah stands there, holding out a small potted plant. Sarah, with a kind smile, "I thought you might like this for your room. It's just a little something to brighten the place up." Zoba is touched by the gesture, though a bit surprised. Zoba, grateful but hesitant. "Oh, thank you. That's really thoughtful." Sarah shrugs. "No problem. I know it's hard settling in, and it's nice to have something green around. Makes things feel less cold, you know." Zoba nods and takes the plant, placing it on the small desk by the window. Zoba, "Yeah, it does help. Thank you." Sarah gives a warm smile and then waves before heading out again. Zoba closes the door and looks at the plant, a small but comforting addition to her otherwise empty room. She sits back on the bed, feeling a little more at ease. The night is still young, but for now, Zoba lets herself rest. Later that evening, Zoba lies on her bed, staring at the ceiling. The soft hum of distant voices and footsteps from the hallway drift in. She feels the weight of everything, new place, new people, and the secret she's carrying. Day 1. And I already feel like I've been here forever. But there's no turning back. Suddenly, her phone buzzes on the nightstand. Zoba picks it up and sees a message from her family. Her fingers hover over the screen for a moment before she opens it. It's a simple message. Text on phone. "Hope you're settling in well. We miss you." A wave of homesickness washes over her. She types a quick reply, trying to sound upbeat, even though her heart feels heavy. Zoba, typing on phone. I'm fine, don't worry. It's just a lot to take in. I'll call soon. She sets the phone down and takes a deep breath, trying to push away the homesickness. But the ache lingers. They wouldn't understand. No one would. But I'll figure it out somehow. Zoba stands up, feeling restless. She paces the small room, her mind swirling with thoughts. The plant Sarah gave her sits on the desk, a small spot of life in the room. Zoba stares at it for a moment, then walks over and touches the leaves gently, feeling a strange sense of calm. Maybe I can grow something here, something of my own. She looks out the window again, the city alive with lights and movement. Zoba feels like a small part of something much bigger, but instead of fear, there's a glimmer of hope. No more looking back. I've come too far. Zoba turns away from the window, sits on the bed, and takes out a small notebook from her suitcase. She opens it to a blank page and begins to write, her pen moving quickly across the paper. As Zoba writes, her thoughts spill onto the page. She writes about her journey, her hopes, and the things she fears. The words flow freely, and with each line, she feels a little lighter, as if she's releasing some of the weight she's been carrying. This is my chance to start fresh, to be who I want to be, but I have to keep my secret safe. No one can know. She pauses for a moment, the pen hovering above the paper, thinking about what to write next. Her mind drifts back to the people she met earlier, Jen and Sarah. They seemed friendly, but she's still wary. Can I trust them? Will they understand if they find out? After a moment of hesitation, she scribbles a note to herself. Be careful. Trust slowly. Just then, her phone buzzes again. It's a group chat message from the family back home. They're sharing pictures of their day, smiling faces, and warm memories. Zoba feels a pang of longing as she looks at the photos. Zoba, V.O. Sadly, I miss them so much, but I can't go back. Not now. Feeling a wave of emotion, she sets her phone down and takes a deep breath, trying to push away the sadness. Instead, she focuses on her notebook, writing about her dreams and what she wants to achieve in this new place. I came here to find opportunities, to make a life for myself. I won't let fear stop me. Zoba finishes her writing and looks around the room, feeling a bit more settled. The city outside still buzzes with life, and she knows that tomorrow will bring new challenges and new experiences. Tomorrow is a new day. I'll take it step by step. With that thought, she closes her notebook and places it back in her suitcase. Zoba turns off the light, allowing the soft glow of the city outside to fill the room. She lies back on her bed, feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. I'm ready. Whatever comes next, I'm ready. Zoba feels a sense of peace wash over her. Sunlight streams through the window, casting warm light across Zoba's room. She stirs awake, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Sitting up, she takes a moment to gather her thoughts before swinging her legs over the side of the bed. Today is the day. I'll explore this city and see what it has to offer. She quickly gets dressed, trying to shake off her lingering anxiety. After a few moments, she steps in front of the mirror, adjusting her hair and giving herself a pep talk. Zoba, to herself, just be yourself. You got this. Zoba grabs her notebook and a small bag, before heading out of her room. The hallways are lively, filled with students chatting and laughing. Zoba takes a deep breath, trying to feel a part of it all. As she enters the lobby, she spots Jen and Sarah chatting with some other students. Zoba feels a bit shy but pushes herself to approach them. Hesitant but friendly. Hey, good morning, Jen. Excitedly. Good morning, Zoba. You're just in time. We were about to head out for breakfast. Want to join us? Zoba's heart races at the invitation. She nods, trying to hide her nervousness. Zoba, smiling. Sure, I'd love to. Sarah, grinning. Great. We're going to a cafe nearby. They have the best pancakes. They all walk out together, and Zoba feels a sense of belonging growing within her. As they step into the bustling city streets, Zoba takes in the sights, the tall buildings, the street vendors, and the lively atmosphere. They walk through the streets, chatting and laughing. Zoba feels a little more at ease with each passing moment. The smell of fresh food wafts through the air, making her stomach rumble. Jen, laughing, can't wait for you to try their pancakes. You won't be disappointed. Zoba, excited. I'm looking forward to it. As they arrive at the cafe, the bright colors and cozy atmosphere make Zoba smile. They find a table and sit down, and she feels a warm sense of welcome. The waitress comes over, and Jen orders for everyone. Zoba glances around the cafe, noticing the mix of people chatting and enjoying their meals. She feels a flutter of hope, thinking maybe this place can feel like home after all. Sarah, turning to Zoba, so, how are you finding things so far? It must be a big change. Zoba hesitates, searching for the right words. Zoba, cautiously, it's different, exciting but also a bit overwhelming. Jen, understandingly, that's totally normal. It takes time to adjust. Just take it one day at a time. Zoba nods, appreciating their support. Their food arrives, and the delicious pancakes look tempting. Zoba, wide-eyed, wow, these look amazing. They dig into their breakfast, enjoying the food and each other's company. As they share stories and laughs, Zoba feels a sense of connection growing between them. Maybe this city isn't so scary after all. Maybe it could be a place where I can start fresh. The conversation flows easily, and Zoba finds herself laughing along. For the first time since arriving, she feels a bit of the weight lifting from her shoulders. The common area of the dorm is bright and bustling with students. Jen lounges on a couch, scrolling through her phone. Zoba enters, her hair perfectly braided in intricate patterns. The light catches her hair, making it look almost otherworldly. Jen's eyes widen as she notices Zoba's hair. Wow, your hair looks incredible. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Zoba, slightly self-conscious but smiling, places her bag down. Zoba, oh, thanks. It's just my usual style. Jen raises an eyebrow, clearly impressed. She's clearly curious but tries to keep her tone light. Jen, seriously, though, it looks like it was braided by a pro. Like, I don't know, a UFO landed and did it or something. Zoba laughs. A UFO? I've never heard that one before. What do you mean, Jen? You know, like, it looks so perfect and different, like something you'd see in a movie. You know, futuristic or otherworldly. Zoba chuckles, finding the comparison amusing. Zoba, well, it's a bit of an art form for me. I guess you could say I put a lot of effort into it. Jen nods, but her mind is racing. She watches Zoba more closely as she begins to unpack her things. Zoba's hair is always impeccably styled, a sharp contrast to the more casual styles of the other students. Later, as Zoba heads to the dorm's kitchen to grab a snack, Jen follows, maintaining a casual conversation. Jen, I've been trying to get my hair to look nice, but it's just not working. How do you keep it looking so perfect? Is there a secret or something? Zoba, smiling, it's just practice and patience. I spend a lot of time making sure it's just right. Jen's curiosity turns into fascination. She watches Zoba with keen interest, noticing how she meticulously takes care of her hair. Jen starts to connect the dots, realizing that there's more to Zoba's hair than just skill and practice. Later that evening, Jen sits in the common area again, her mind racing. She looks at Zoba's closed door and wonders what she might be doing behind it. Jen decides to stay up late and try to catch a glimpse of Zoba's routine. The room is dimly lit by the faint glow of moonlight seeping through the blinds. Jen lies in her bed, pretending to sleep, her eyes half closed as she watches Zoba from across the room. Zoba, unaware of Jen's hidden gaze, goes about her usual nightly routine, brushing her hair in front of the mirror. Jen squints, focusing on Zoba's movements. She had always been curious, but tonight, that curiosity has intensified. Earlier, Zoba's refusal to do her hair had stirred something deeper, and now, she had to know if there was more to the mystery. Zoba places her brush down and takes a deep breath, her reflection staring back at her in the mirror. A sense of ritual fills the air as Zoba, calm and composed, starts to chant softly in her native tongue. The sound is like a melody from another world, full of ancient wisdom and hidden power. Jen's heart begins to race. She knows something incredible is about to happen. Slowly, almost methodically, Zoba removes her head from her neck and places it gently on her lap. Her hands begin working on her hair with supernatural precision, braiding each strand with a fluid motion that seems almost otherworldly. The room is suddenly bathed in a soft, mystical glow that radiates from Zoba's head, illuminating the otherwise dark natural speed and grace, the braids forming perfectly without a single mirror or guide. It's as though her fingers are driven by some unseen force, knowing exactly what to do. Jen, wide-eyed and frozen in place, watches in stunned silence. She had expected something unusual, but this was beyond her wildest imagination. It was surreal, like witnessing an extraordinary phenomenon that defied explanation. Zoba, is that real? Jen whispers to herself, barely audible, her heart pounding in her chest. Unable to contain her astonishment, Jen speaks up louder. Zoba, what's happening? Your hair, it's like it's being styled by magic. Zoba's hands stop braiding, and the glow begins to fade. She lifts her head, still on her lap, and turns it toward Jen. The room is filled with an eerie silence as their eyes meet. Jen gulps, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. It looks like some kind of extraordinary skill. I've never seen anything like it. Zoba's lips curl into a small smile as she carefully reattaches her head to her neck. Extraordinary. What you saw is part of an ancient tradition in my family. It's a gift passed down through generations. Jen sits up in her bed, still trying to process what she just witnessed. A gift. But how? I mean, you literally just took your head off and braided your hair. That's incredible. Zoba's expression softens. She takes a seat on her bed, facing Jen. It may seem incredible, but it's part of who we are. This ability is tied to our lineage. It's not just about doing hair, it's about honoring our ancestors and keeping their legacy alive. Jen leans forward, her curiosity piqued even more. So, it's a part of your heritage. Zoba nods, her tone thoughtful. Yes, and with it comes a great responsibility. It's a part of my identity, and I must use it wisely. Jen's mind races with the implications of what she's seen. I understand. Thank you for sharing this with me. I won't tell anyone. Zoba smiles, relieved but still cautious. Thank you for understanding. The cafe is bustling with students, the clatter of dishes and hum of conversations filling the air. Zoba sits at a corner table. Jen approaches, her brother, Eric, in tow. Jen wears a bright smile, while Eric looks slightly uncomfortable but tries to be polite. Jen waves enthusiastically as she nears Zoba's table. Hey, Zoba, I'd like you to meet my brother, Eric. He's visiting for the weekend, and I thought it would be great for you two to meet. Zoba looks up, offering a warm smile. Nice to meet you, Eric. Eric returns the smile, though there's a hint of tension in his eyes. Nice to meet you too, Zoba. Jen's told me a lot about you. As they sit down, Jen starts chatting animatedly, directing the conversation to casual topics like college life and local spots to visit. Eric listens attentively, occasionally chiming in with comments and questions. Jen expertly steers the conversation towards Zoba's background. Zoba's from Nigeria, and she has this amazing heritage. She's been telling me all about her traditions and customs. Eric nods, clearly interested. That sounds fascinating. What's it like growing up with such rich traditions? Zoba begins to share a bit about her experiences, her eyes lighting up as she talks about her culture and family. It's a beautiful experience. My family has always emphasized the importance of preserving our heritage and traditions. Eric leans in, showing genuine interest. I'd love to hear more about it. Maybe you could share some of your experiences with us. Jen watches with a mix of satisfaction and anticipation as Zoba and Eric engage in conversation. She had hoped that Eric's interest in Zoba's background would strengthen their connection, subtly pushing Zoba closer to her own plans. As the conversation continues, Jen finds a moment to excuse herself, claiming she needs to check in with a friend. She leaves Zoba and Eric to continue their discussion. Once Jen is out of earshot, Zoba's phone buzzes. She glances at it, seeing a message from her mother. She's reminded of her recent conversation with Jen and feels a wave of anxiety. After Eric and Jen leave the cafe, Zoba takes a deep breath and dials her mother's number. Later, Zoba paces back and forth in her room, the tension palpable. She finally reaches her mother, who answers after a few rings. Hi, Mom. Zoba starts, her voice trembling slightly. I need to tell you something. I was caught. Someone saw me during my ritual. Her mother's voice is calm but concerned. What happened? Who saw you? Zoba explains, her words tumbling out in a rush. Jen. She noticed how my hair looked perfect and became curious. I begged her to keep it a secret, but I'm scared. She's introduced me to her brother, and I'm afraid she might use this against me. Her mother's voice takes on a serious tone. Zoba, you must be cautious. If anyone finds out about your powers, it could be dangerous. Do you think Jen will try to exploit this? I don't know, Mom. I have a feeling she might be up to something, Zoba admits. I need to figure out what to do next. I'm thinking of coming back to Nigeria if things get worse. Her mother sighs deeply. We'll discuss this further. Stay alert and keep me updated. And remember, your safety comes first. Zoba nods, feeling a mixture of relief and worry. I will, Mom. Thanks for understanding. After ending the call, Zoba sits quietly, her mind racing with thoughts of what might happen next. The dorm room is eerily quiet, bathed in the faint moonlight filtering through the curtains. Zoba sits at her desk, staring blankly at her textbooks. Her mind isn't on her studies, though. It's on Jen. Ever since the night Jen witnessed her ritual, Zoba has felt the air shift between them. Jen has been different, more attentive, more eager to be near her. The realization that Jen could expose her secret gnaws at Zoba, keeping her on edge. The sound of the door creaking open pulls Zoba from her thoughts. Jen enters the room with a soft smile, her eyes glittering with something Zoba can't quite place: excitement, curiosity. Zoba pretends not to notice, focusing instead on her notes, though her heart races in anticipation of whatever Jen might say or do. Jen moves casually around the room, the tension between them palpable. She reaches for her phone, then, without a word, sits on her bed, scrolling through social media. The silence stretches on, unnerving Zoba. Every slight movement Jen makes feels exaggerated in the quiet, making the air feel thick with unspoken words. Jen's subtle glances toward Zoba don't go unnoticed. There's a calculated calmness in the way she moves, slow, deliberate, like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. Zoba can sense the shift in Jen's demeanor. It's no longer the same friendly roommate relationship they once shared. It's something darker, something fueled by Jen's newfound knowledge of Zoba's secret. Zoba swallows hard, keeping her eyes on her notebook, trying to focus on anything but Jen's presence. And knot of dread tightens in her stomach. She knows that Jen won't be content with just knowing the secret. She'll want more. She'll want access to it, control over it. As the minutes tick by, Zoba realizes she can't stay silent any longer. She stands, feeling the weight of the moment, and walks toward the window, her mind racing. She has to do something. She has to protect her secret at all costs. But how? Her fingers fidget with the beaded necklace around her neck, a gift from her mother back in Nigeria. The necklace has always been a source of comfort, a reminder of her family's legacy and the power that she's been entrusted with. But now, it feels like a burden. Jen's growing obsession with her abilities could unravel everything. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, feeling the cool night air through the slightly cracked window. Thoughts of home flood her mind, her mother, her ancestral roots, the responsibility of carrying this power. The realization hits her hard. Jen can't be trusted. Zoba needs to act quickly before it's too late. After what feels like an eternity, Zoba turns toward the door. Her decision is made. She will leave before things spiral out of control. But as her hand touches the doorknob, she hears the faintest of whispers from behind her. She turns to see Jen, still on her bed, her phone glowing in the dim light. But it's not the phone that catches Zoba's attention, it's Jen's eyes. The way they follow her every move, silently calculating. Jen says nothing, but her stare speaks volumes. Zoba can feel the unspoken promise. I know what you are, and I'm not done yet. The air is thick with unspoken tension, and Zoba feels a deep chill creep down her spine. She knows now that Jen's fascination isn't harmless curiosity. It's a dangerous hunger that could destroy everything if Zoba isn't careful. Without saying a word, Zoba steps out of the room and into the hallway, her pulse quickening. She heads straight for her phone and dials her mother's number. The moment her mother's voice answers on the other end, Zoba feels a rush of relief. but also the weight of the situation. Mama, Zoba whispers, her voice trembling, I might have to come back to Nigeria. Someone knows. The moonlight drapes a pale glow over the dorm room. Zoba lies awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The tension in the room is suffocating. Jen, across the room, is asleep, or at least pretending to be. The quiet hum of the night doesn't ease Zoba's anxiety. Something feels off. She senses Jen's restlessness, like the calm before a storm. Zoba rolls over, pulling her blanket tighter, trying to shake off the unease. But her mind is racing. Jen's odd behavior in recent days has left her feeling exposed, vulnerable. The fascination Jen has shown since discovering her secret isn't innocent anymore. There's a hunger in her eyes, a desire to uncover more, to take what isn't hers. How much longer can I stay here? Zoba wonders, her heart pounding in her chest. Across the room, Jen shifts in her bed. Zoba watches her silhouette, noting the subtle movement. Is Jen awake? Is she thinking about the secret she witnessed? The way she's been watching Zoba lately, so intently, makes Zoba feel like prey. Jen's growing obsession with Zoba's powers hangs over them, both like a thick cloud. Zoba's thoughts drift to her family in Nigeria. Her mother's warning echoes in her mind. Not everyone can be trusted with our secret. You must protect it, no matter what. The weight of her ancestors' legacy feels heavier now than ever. What would her mother say if she knew how close she came to being exposed? After what feels like an eternity, Zoba turns toward the door. Her decision is made. She will leave before things spiral out of control. But as her hand touches the doorknob, she hears the faintest of whispers from behind her. She turns to see Jen, still on her bed, her phone glowing in the dim light. But it's not the phone that catches Zoba's attention, it's Jen's eyes. The way they follow her every move, silently calculating. Jen says nothing, but her stare speaks volumes. Zoba can feel the unspoken promise. I know what you are, and I'm not done yet. The air is thick with unspoken tension, and Zoba feels a deep chill creep down her spine. She knows now that Jen's fascination isn't harmless curiosity. It's a dangerous hunger that could destroy everything if Zoba isn't careful. Without saying a word, Zoba steps out of the room and into the hallway, her pulse quickening. She heads straight for her phone and dials her mother's number. The moment her mother's voice answers on the other end, Zoba feels a rush of relief, but also the weight of the situation. Mama, Zoba whispers, her voice trembling, I might have to come back to Nigeria. Someone knows. The moonlight drapes a pale glow over the dorm room. How much longer can I stay here? Zoba wonders, her heart pounding in her chest. Zoba's confrontation with Jen is now inevitable. With no escape, the battle between preserving her ancestral legacy and outmaneuvering Jen's growing obsession looms ahead. The stakes are higher, the tension palpable, and Zoba's every move will determine whether she can protect her power or fall into the web Jen is quietly weaving. As Zoba stares out into the darkened night, knowing the battle for her ancestral power is only just beginning, you're left wondering, what will happen when she faces Jen? Will Zoba protect her legacy, or will Jen's growing obsession take everything from her? Make sure you turn on the notification bell, so you'll be the first to know when part 2 is released. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. The real confrontation is just about to begin. Stay tuned.